Thank you for coming to this session today. Thank you if you're watching it live also. Beyond the boundaries of Tableau. If it's the first time you are coming to this, this talk, it's not a tutorial, right? I don't have the time to go through explaining all of the minute detail of how those things are built, and it's not a stage demo. Everything is going to run live on my computer. Things might go wrong, and if that happens, please bear with me. What it is, it's an invitation to see what's possible in Tableau. That's really all that it is. I want you to end up after these 40 minutes and be like, okay, I didn't even knew Tableau could do that. And even Tableau doesn't know it can do that. So if you are ready, should we start? Yeah. Okay. So let's go directly to Tableau. You may have heard a bit of that in the preparation of this talk. So, you know, usually when you're in Tableau and you drag and drop your data, you have some kind of visualization, right? But in our case, I'm going to drop subcategories in dimension. I'm going to put my sales in measure, and I'm going to put my profit in measure. And it's called, this one is called data song. So when I'm clicking, when I select the style, so let's put old school, jazzy, hip hop, and let's click generate song. So now it's going to take my subcategories, sales and profit by subcategories, and generate a song. So here you see Claude generate some lyrics. And you know what? I'm going to make you the favor of not singing those lyrics. We are just going to wait a tiny bit and go to the next demo while we have some songs. So the next demo is called Maybe I Should Not. Maybe I should not, because you know pie charts are not necessarily the best charts to use when you want to represent data. So, but what about you know exploding pie charts and exploding pie charts that you can move around, you know, like and turn. So, and this is Tableau, right? So if I click, I can still keep only, I can exclude the data, I can view the data. So for your next business meeting, maybe you can use a beautiful exploding 3D pie chart. The next example is called What Are You Even Doing? I don't know, honestly. Just like yesterday, which day was it? May the 4th, right? May the 4th be with you. So why not turn your data chart into lightsaber, right? Because that's something you can do now in Tableau. Why not also hang the bar chart on top? And you know, since gravity is something that exists, if I move my window around, you know, my bar chart are also reacting. And then the bar chart, well, they could make a sound, right? So if I click, they make some sound. And I can play a music, right? And I can change my instrument. I can maybe use retro. And this reminded me of a video game, right? So I'm like, it would be good that if you are one day angry with your data, you can just start and break your bar chart, you know? And you know, yes, thank you. And you can combine them, right? So you can also make a bar chart, like everything is possible. So let's leave that for a moment. Let's go back to our song and let's see. We have 2 songs ready, so let's hear them. Yo, listen up, let me paint the picture clear. Chairs and phones leading, yeah, they reign. That's actually true. 335,000 in the chair game strong, while phones hit 331 all night long. Copy is cutting through with 56 grand in profits gleam. Who wants that for data night out tomorrow? Yeah, okay. So that's beyond the boundaries of Tableau, right? That's just the introduction. And if you are wondering who is this guy turning my bar chart into lightsaber, my name is Tristan Guillevin. I'm the co-founder of La Dataviz. And I've started using Tableau 11 years ago. That was my very first Tableau public visualization. 2 years after, it was my first conference in Las Vegas when I had to compete on stage for the Aaron Viz competition. In 2020, I became, thank you. In 2020, I became visionary for the first time. And at that point, I quit my job and started La Dataviz with my partner, Jessica, who is right here. Over the last 5 years, we have been exploring how to go beyond the boundaries of Tableau. We have been releasing tools like the Figma to Tableau, Filter Manager, or more recently, we have been heavily focused on doing Viz extension. By the way, Viz extension is exactly what you saw in my introduction. So I'm using the extension API to go beyond the boundaries of Tableau. So what is a Viz extension? So you are here in Tableau. And actually, what you will have is a web page that renders whatever you want inside your Tableau worksheet, right? So it can read the data, and once it can read the data, it can do whatever you want, even turning your data into a song. So let me show you now maybe a few other demo of things that are actually a bit more useful than a lightsaber chart, right? So who here already created a donut chart?
Yeah, okay. So you know you have your two marks, and what you do is you right-click and you change to dual axis, and bam, you have a donut chart, right? But I don't know if you ever tried to teach that to someone. It's actually not quite easy to teach, right? Because people are like, why do I need to have a max of 0 and another and make a dual axis between a circle? It's confusing, right? So that's why recently we have now this extension. So this extension allow you to create advanced charts without all of the hack that you would have before. So right here, I have my donut mark. So you can find extension in your marks. You click Add Extension, and here you will see many different Viz extension. And if you select Tableau Trusted Partner, you will find all of our extension. So if you take the donut chart, now you can just use, for example, let's take the segment in section. Let's take the sales in angle, and we have our beautiful donut chart, right? You can put segment in color, and maybe sales in KPI, and here you have without any hack, without dual axis, without anything. And if I click on Format Extension, you will have many different features to rotate, to change the inner radius, outer radius, to change the color, the label, the KPI, etc. Right? So we really try to make this really easy to use, and it should look and feel like Tableau. So if I hover over an arc, you will see I have my tooltip. If I click, I can keep, I can exclude. It should look and feel like any other Tableau visualization. You can filter, you can do whatever you want. So that's a donut. Now, if you think about more advanced chart, you have the Sankey diagram, right? So this is an example by Ken Flerlich. And if you go to see one flow, you actually can see how a Sankey is actually working in Tableau. So if I turn that to circle, you see that actually a flow in my Sankey is just purely data identification. So to create a flow, we just multiply your data by a lot, and we just make a lot of points that we link together to create this aspect of a flow. So you have to go through the process of data identification. Now with this extension, so you can use the Sankey extension, and now really easily, let me put our category, let me put the ship mode, let me put the segment, and let's put sales in size, and I have my Sankey. The good thing is, because this is no longer a Tableau pure visualization, this is like a web page that is rendering your Sankey, you can do things like, for example, moving your nodes around, right? Because you can now do anything that you want. The next example is map layers. So map layers is really when you need to create something that Tableau really cannot do. For example, a gauge chart. So map layers were initially created in order to layer things on a map. So you have a country, maybe a region, and then a city, and then you want to layer them, right? So you can use that technique to create advanced stuff. So Jeremy Knott did this gauge, and you can see on the left that we have our polygon, we have a map, we have a text, we have a circle, we have Gantt chart. So you have to calculate all of the position of those different elements in order to stack them and create a gauge chart. And the funny thing is, like, my gauge chart is actually living in the coast of Africa, right? Because it's a map at the end of the day. But now with a gauge extension, you can really easily just in one drag and drop, create your gauge. And in a second drag and drop, if I put my target, do we have a target somewhere? Yeah, I have my target right here. Put target, and I have my target. And everything here is heavily customizable. You can change the color, the amount of section, you can change the style, you can change anything that you want. Now, that's all things you could do before in Tableau with a lot of calculation. But if you take a network diagram, this is something you could not even do in Tableau before, because you have to go through an algorithm that will calculate the position of the circle and the lines depending on the force of your network. But with this extension, you can have all of that inside Tableau. So if I put my categories in source and my manufacturer in target, boom, I automatically have my network diagram. And since it's, again, D3, these things, I can move them around. I can position exactly where they want to create the perfect network that I want to have. And if you are talking about 3D, before I showed you an example of an exploding 3D pie chart, which is maybe not the best use case, but you can also create things like this, which is a 3D globe that will show you the flight path, where you can have the size as size and the type as color, and you can also animate that, right? So you can now have a 3D globe chart in Tableau that you can move around. And again, it's Tableau. Thank you. And again, it's pure it's Tableau, so you can select a flow and filter and do anything you want. So that's really the power of this extension. So now I know a lot of people say, yeah, it's fun, it's nice, but I cannot use this extension because my environment is really secure and we cannot let the data go through outside my environment. I just want to show you something, and I hope this will not break anything, but the radar extension is loaded in Tableau, right? I don't have any data on my marks. So what I'm going to do is turn my Wi-Fi off. It should be fine. And I'm going to go to Sample Superstore, and now drag and drop my subcategories and my sales, and I do have my network. Because once the extension is loaded inside Tableau, the data is never going anywhere else. It's pure front end, right? So I can now modify this. I can do whatever I want with that. Once the extension is loaded, the data is never transferred anywhere else. And if you want extra security, we also have an enterprise license when you can install the environment inside your own environment. So you are 100% sure that nothing ever goes even to internet to load the extension. Now let me show you another example of a KPI chart. KPI chart, everyone has also created a KPI chart. Usually you need multiple worksheets, you need multiple calculations to calculate previous value in percentage when it's negative and when it's positive. You know the drill. So here you can just put sales in KPI. Let's just put order date in time. And now if I change from year to months, I do have the monthly evolution of my sales with the evolution versus last month, or I can change that to evolution versus last year with just 2 drag and drop, not 0 calculation. And you can also create things like drill down filter. I know that is something that a lot of people like. So if I just put my category, my subcategory, my manufacturer, like that, I do have my drill down filter. And now if I go to my dashboard, where everything that we created until now is available, you can just simply use that drill down filter to filter your dashboard through your different categories, etc. Right? So we just built this dashboard in the last 5 minutes, which before, without extension, will have taken a few hours. I guess we can all agree. So. Thank you. So our 20 V's extension are 100% free on Tableau Public and Tableau Desktop, so you can really feel free to use them to build your next Tableau Public visualization, and we will have them available as SaaS or on-premise for Tableau Cloud and Tableau Server. And all of that, so again, is built thanks to the extension API. And extension API can do more than V's extension. And actually, before this extension, we had dashboard extension. Dashboard extension is a bit of the same idea. You have a web page that renders whatever you want inside your dashboard. It can read the data of your worksheet. It can also interact with the dashboard. But to be honest, I never really cared about dashboard extension. I always thought that this extension was really, really better. But I wanted to challenge myself. So this year, Tableau had the Tableau 2026 hackathon. And I was like, OK, I really want to use my extension API to create something around dashboard extension. And I also want to use, of course, AI, because that's kind of what we have to do right now. And on top of that, I wanted to use the Tableau MCP. So for those who have heard MCP in the keynote, but are not yet sure exactly what it is. So the MCP is kind of a way for an AI to understand what it can do on your Tableau environment. So you as a user, you just say, hey, show me the sales. You say that to your favorite AI. And the AI is going to look at the Tableau MCP and say, OK, it seems like I can list the data source. I can query the data. I can maybe export an image. So the AI is going to communicate with the MCP and with Tableau in order to get the data and answer your question, show me my sales, right? So with all of that, I decided to create Visual. So Visual is my hackathon project, and it's 6 AI-powered tools that will make dashboard accessible to everyone. So that's the second big part of the demo of today. So if you are ready, we are going to go into accessibility, the accessibility world. So, OK. So this is my website, and let's start at the moment that you are really a beginner and you want to learn how to visualize your data. You want to learn how to read a chart, right? So when you click on this, you will automatically see the last 12 V's of the day that are available on Tableau Public, and you can click on one. So if I click on one, you will see the V's of the day is going to load on the left, and on the right, the AI is going to look at the dashboard and tell me things. So for example, OK, this is a call center performance. It will tell me what we are looking at. It will tell me some cool details. And if you are ready to dig deeper, we can explore the different charts. So when I click on that, the AI is going to analyze the different charts. that usually take a bit of moment because it's capturing each chart. Okay, so we can see the different charts we have available in the visualization. And maybe I'm really interested in this one, right? Because I'm not sure how I would recreate that or even how to read that. So we see we have a table with heat map. So I'm going to click on that. And again, now the AI is going to try to explain me how to read that chart and also how to recreate it in Tableau. Again, it's taking a tiny bit of time. I told you everything is live. Everything is running live with internet and etc. Okay, so what are you looking at? This is a table with a heat map, a grid with numbers, colors, how to read it. I'm not going to go to all of the detail. What's interesting, so the setup help tops the list with 8,000 calls, and how would you build that in Tableau? So that's all great, but I think that to learn, the best way is to kind of play games, right? So we also have a quiz. So here, it's 5 questions that goes from easy to medium to hard that you have to answer. For example, look at the hourly call pattern in December, what type of chart is used, and let's just answer randomly or different questions. This one, and this one, and submit the answer, and we did 2 out of 5, not so good. So you see that people will have to, so each visualization have its own quiz that is generated instantly that you can use to learn how to read any dashboard. So that's really good if you want to step up your data literacy game. And the example that I gave here is with the last 12 Vs of the day, but you can really imagine that you can have that with the top 12 dashboard in your company, right? So people can actually learn how to read the dashboard that your employee have created or that you have created, and it's really good to learn. So that's great. And let's say that after learning to read charts, I started to create my first charts. So my first dashboard. So this is the very first dashboard that I created. And I want to make sure that this is good to be published. So since I'm still a beginner, I'm not 100% sure that this is all correct. So I can use this extension that is called Visual Check. And this one is going to help me to verify that everything is OK. So the first thing is color. So you can see here the original dashboard. And here you can see how it looks for people with protanopia, which is a type of color blindness. And here you can see, maybe it's not the best choice of color. So let's ask AI if it has any color recommendation. And you can see, OK, critical issue. Sales map is using red-green and is actually the worst color palette, and I should use blue-orange diverging, and I can see different color recommendation. I can also check the contrast of my dashboard to see if the text and the background is OK, so seems like it's mostly OK. I can check the spelling mistake, so if I click on that, I will see if I made any mistake. And actually, spell check, right? So I can actually see that I write supersretor. And yeah, actually it's right. And I guess no one noticed, right? So it's the kind of things that you never see before it's too late. And actually this tool can help you see that before you publish. And finally, a scorecard that will go through all the different accessibility features that you need. So color, text and details, data representation. And it will help you figure out what is important to be changed in your dashboard before you publish it. Next example is, OK, we follow those best practice. We made a dashboard that looks much better. But some people cannot see very clearly. So even if we can see that and we see that is good, some people cannot see. So for example, if I remove my glasses, actually, it will be really hard for me to say what is happening. So we created this extension.
Generating summary, generating voice.
That will now generate a voice summary of what is happening in the dashboard, and it will help you to go through what's happening, right? So even if you cannot see, this extension should help you to understand what's going on. It takes a few moments. I can put my glasses back. Can you hear anything or not? No. Let me try that again. I hope I still have enough. OK. Generating voice. So yeah, the main idea was how can we make accessibility tools for Tableau that don't exist yet. And if this is not working, it's not the end of the world. I have many other demo, but hopefully it can generate something.
This dashboard tracks European Superstore profitability across 15 countries from 2023 to 2026, broken down by region, geography, and product category. Key insights. Regional profit swings. Profit margins range wildly from -21.7% to 37%, with Navarra, Spain, and Lucerne, Switzerland leading at 37% and 35%, while Geneva and Madrid are deep in the red at minus 14% and minus 12%. 3 product killers. Tables, bookcases, and supplies are hemorrhaging money.
So I'm going to stop there, but you get the idea, right? Someone can listen to their dashboard. Now, I don't know if you know that, but Tableau already has built-in accessibility features. So if you go to any worksheet and you click to the worksheet and you go to accessibility over there, you can actually see what a screen reader will read for this chart. And right now, for this map, the screen reader will say multi-polygon charts of longitude, latitude, color applied to profit, detail applied to state, detail applied to country, applied to geometry. Okay, not really useful, I guess, right? And if we ask the screen reader to read one single mark, that's actually what the screen reader is going to read. So yeah, I'm not sure anyone needs to know the polygon of the map. So this extension that reads your data can also generate alt text really cleanly. So it will actually take an image of the dashboard, generating alt text, and here the alt text is geographical map showing profit ratio by region across 15 European countries, with ratio ranging from minus 21 to 37% from orders between March 2023 and December 2026. So I can just copy that and put it in my accessibility feature, so my screen reader will have an actual something that is actually helpful for the people who cannot see. Now, the last demo in Tableau is actually one of my favorites. So who ever needed to create annotation on top of a dashboard to explain how it works? Yeah, okay, a few people. So usually the way you do that is you put a floating worksheet on top that you have a low opacity and stuff like that. So we wanted to simplify that. So on this small extension, I click on it, and automatically I have that kind of opaque, semi-opaque background. And I basically have now paint inside of Tableau. So I can use a pen, and I can draw on my dashboard. I can use rectangles. I can use circles. I can have arrow to point at things. I can write text on my dashboard, etc. Right? So I can really use that to have all of my annotation, and then I can toggle this on and off when I need it. So that's great, but we wanted to see also if AI could help us in that process. So what we created, let me kill that, is that we can have AI to annotate the dashboard. So if I click on annotate, automatically we are going to have the zones with a rectangle, and now the AI is going to look at the dashboard, the picture of the dashboard, and generate all the annotation. So let's take a look. So we have here like a profit ratio by region, orange equal loss, blue equals gain, hover or click the region to see, use the legend to the left for ratio, etc. So we have all of our dashboard being annotated automatically thanks to AI. Now, I wanted to go even further than that, and I'm going to take my iPad and I'm going to leave far from my computer, okay? And to have, I toggle in collaboration, right? Live collaboration. So I'm going to be in my computer in blue as Tristan, and on this, I'm going to be iPad, and I'm going to be in red. So now if I do this, live. So if I do this, you see my iPad, right? So as I'm going here, I can be like, you know what, this should be actually much better instead of a bar chart to have some kind of line chart that people can see. And as the person in front of their computer, they can be like, you know what, that's really a good idea. Let's validate that, right? So you can be multiple people at being different place with different machine, working on the same annotation and working on how to build your dashboard. So that's, thank you. So that's the 3 tools that are in Tableau and the Learn. Now, let's say that you reach a point where dashboard is actually, you don't no longer have time to watch a dashboard, right? So one of the things you can do is, and I'm going to this time connect to my phone, like this presentation use so many devices. I'm actually surprised we are getting through. So let's click on this. Let's go to File. Let's do a new movie. And you should see my phone, okay? So I have this app, like the third one, that is the visual app. So I can go on that, and as someone who is always on the run and needs to have answer to my data really quickly, I can just ask a question, for example, how much sales did I do today, and who are my customers? And I can click, and again, the MCP is going to query my data, and we should have the direct answer of that question without having to look at any dashboard. Hopefully we did some sales today. That's sample superstar, that's not Ladatavis, right? Just Okay. So we have a few customers, and I see that Lisa, she bought for $120 today. So maybe on my way to my next meeting, I can have a call with her to ask if everything went well with her orders, right? So that's another tool for accessibility for people who don't have the time to be on the dashboard. Now, the last demo that I want to do today is, Pulse metrics are really great for people who are too busy to look at dashboard, right? They can really quickly see, okay, my sales, my profit, my number of orders, my discount. But Jessica, my partner, gave me a great idea one day that we went at the gym. It would be like, for people who like to lift weights, and you don't have your phone, maybe you still want to know how your business is doing at that specific moment. So we created a tool that transforms your Pulse metric data into a podcast that is sent every day to Slack every morning. So let's hear.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Executive KPI briefing. We've got some mixed signals in the numbers this week, so let's dig in.
Absolutely. So first thing, discount is at 19.87% for May so far, and that's up 154.7% from April. That's a pretty sharp jump. Madrid and Bavaria are the main drivers, up 31 and 8% respectively.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Lower discounts are actually better for our margins. So this increase tells me we're giving away more, which means we need to watch the bottom line carefully. Speaking of which,
I guess you get the gist. It is going to be a 3-minute podcast that takes you through your Tableau Pulse metrics. So if you have data, if you are in your company and you have CEOs that don't have the time to look at the dashboard, maybe the next option is to have them listen to a podcast on their daily drive to the office, right? So that's visual. Did you like it? Yeah. Thank you. So everything was built with the extension API, AI, and the Tableau MCP. And actually, in 2 hours, I am one of the 5 finalists of the hackathon. So I think in 1 or 2 hours, I need to defend this project to the jury. So wish me luck, and hopefully I will do good. So another cool thing happened to me this year is I entered the Tableau Visionary Hall of Fame. So that's a huge honor. And you enter the Hall of Fame when you have been a Tableau Visionary for 6 years, right? To become a visionary for the first time, you need to demonstrate mastery, teach in the community, and collaborate with others. And that's all true. But to become a Hall of Fame visionary, I'm convinced that you need to find your own thing. And for some people, is making YouTube videos. For some people, is teaching on LinkedIn. For some people, is hacking or being really good at design or having a podcast. So every one of the Visionary Hall of Fame has their own thing, and that's how they keep doing the things that they love, right? So for me, it actually took quite some time to find what is my thing. So I grew up in a 200 people village called Valduz. And growing up, I first really was passionate about video games and The Legend of Zelda. And I finished them all, and then I received my first computer. And then I started to hack my way around the computer. I deleted System32, nothing worked anymore. I had to reinstall everything. I learned by doing stuff on my computer. Then I discovered anime, and I decided to learn video editing in order to do my own anime music video on YouTube. And then I discovered how to play the guitar, and then I joined a band, and I had a few concerts. So every time I was like, okay, what is my thing? Do I want to be a video game tester? Do I want to play guitar? Do I want to be a programmer or video editor? And eventually, I discovered Tableau. So you knew from the intro that I published my very first Tableau public visualization in 2015. In 2016, I had my very first Viz of the Day. And 1 year after that, I won the Viz competition, and the local newspaper in my village made like headlines of Tristan won the jackpot in Las Vegas, etc. So you know what? I knew what was my thing. My thing is to create beautiful dashboard and be a great storyteller. That's obviously my thing. So the next year, I did absolutely nothing, because I then had the pressure of not doing things as Tristan Guillevin that no one knows from Valduz. I had the pressure of doing a dashboard as the Viz champion. So I did absolutely nothing because I was not sure that was my thing, actually. So the only way for me to move forward was to become a beginner. So I started learning design with Figma. I started to learn development with JavaScript and D3. And eventually, I saw how to put all of that back to Tableau. And I started to create new dashboards that combine D3 and Figma to create things that were much more beautiful than what I used to do before. thanks to that, I became a Tableau visionary in 2020. So of course, I knew what was my thing. My thing is to create beautiful dashboard with complex charts, right? The next year, I did absolutely nothing because, yeah, as a Zen master, as a visionary, what am I going to do now? And actually, I was removed from the Tableau visionary program in 2022 because I did absolutely nothing. And you can actually see that. So this is my GitHub. My GitHub repository. You can see March 2019 to March 2020, really productive. After that, I did absolutely nothing. And again, the only way for me to unlock my creativity was to become a beginner again. So I started to learn Webflow to be better at web design. I started to learn Svelte to be better at my development. And again, I put that all back to Tableau. And I created in 2023 AdViz, the very first tool that people use to create advanced charts in Tableau before this extension existed. So that tool I checked recently, we have more than 5,000 users that use that tool, 400 Tableau public visualization. 2 of the R&V's finalists this year have used this tool as part of their submission. So we are really proud of that small tool that we created just out of sheer passion that is completely free for everyone to use. And I do think I found what is my thing right now. My thing is to do less. Less as in learn, experiment, share, and start again. Every time that I've learned something new, I got passionate about it, right? The guitar, the anime, the whatever. Like, I learn something new, I experiment with it, and I share what I learned. So you can actually see that from 2023 onwards, now I have been really consistent in each year trying to learn something new, trying to publish something, trying to share, trying to experiment, and being in front of you today to share what I've learned. So really, Tableau is one thing, but every time that I have learned Figma, JavaScript, and D3, I made better charts. Yep. I guess, yep. Should be good. Should come back. Yes, so Figma, JavaScript, and D3, and I created better charts. Then I used Svelte and Webflow, and I was able to create a tool that was really successful and that a lot of people have used. And then finally, today with AI, you just saw the result of when I learned AI, how we can put that back in Tableau to make tools that are better for everyone, right? So my thing is really to learn, experiment, share, and start again. And my only message for you today is that keep learning and find your own thing because you will do extraordinary stuff. So my name is Tristan Guillevin. I'm working with Jessica Bautista. Together we are La Dataviz. Thank you a lot for coming to this session today. Thank you.